Hello my fellow gamers and welcome once again to perafilozofytsubmissions. Today we're back to Total War 3 Kingdoms and we have today another video in the line of how to beat the AI on its highest setting in a battle. I and the AI are going to use the exact same units and the setup is from the Yellow Turban Rebellion units and their generals. Once again, I choose a very balanced army combined with infantry, archers, crossbowmen, cavalry and shock cavalry. Also for added effect, I've added some bow cav just to see what the AI can do with it, because it is a very versatile unit that can be used to start the skirmish, it can be used to charge, to fake charge, and it can also be used to charge the backs of infantry units and do the hammer and anvil attack. In the previous video, I showed you how to use the cavalry to start the engagement, force the enemy to attack them with their archers, get your archers in position, start firing on the enemy, and also use your cavalry to charge in, do some fake charges, real charges, and force the enemy, who is the defender, to actually attack you and make it easier for you to win that battle. In this battle, I'm going to use a very different strategy, and I think you're going to find it very interesting, and especially how effective it is against the AI. The reason why I've chosen to use the same map as in the previous video is because I want to limit the number of things that the AI has to deal with and just respond to my tactics and my army instead of changing his tactics because of the different map. The tactic that I'm going to employ today is dividing my army in half. I'm going to take half of my army, balance it out, use cavalry, infantry and bow or crossbowman units, place them on one side of the battlefield, and take the other half and place it on the other side of the battlefield. Then I'm going to go towards the enemy on his flanks and see just how confused he's going to get. I'm going to do a little time jump over the setup of the army, because you're going to easily see it as I approach the enemy. Both sides of the army have about equal infantry power, but on one side we have the bows, on the other one the crossbows. On one side I have more elite cavalry, while on the other side are the bow cav. The enemy army is of course situated on the highest point of the map available to him, that's hill over here, and he has chosen to set up his bow units in front, cavalry on the flanks and infantry behind the bow and crossbow units. Pretty much the standard formation that an AI can take. Sometimes they'll put all their cavalry on one flank, but with a lot of cavalry to pick from, they do tend to put them on both flanks. And this is actually perfect for me because of the way that I'm going to divide my forces. I'm going to be able to fight him completely equally on both sides if he retains this formation. The important thing is in the strategy, and I will refine my getting close to the enemy with the replay system, because it's going to be easier for you to watch how he is going to respond. And as I started saying, the important thing is not to make too much of an aggressive move towards him, because you want to attack with both of your parts of the army at the same time. You do not want one of the army getting his attention and the entire army attacking that one, and you then are out of position with the other half of your army. That would be very dangerous and very easy to lose the battle that way. As you have been seeing here, he is responding to my movements with my separate armies by making this crescent out of his army, where his archers, crossbowmen are at the forefront of the crescent. His infantry is right behind, but only his cavalry is protecting his flanks by bending more and more towards his center. If you try out this tactic yourself, this may not be the typical response that you get from the AI. It might depend on the composition and the strength of the army that he possesses, and this might be just the way that he is responding with the units that I have given him. But if you get into a battle with an enemy AI and he has different army compositions, but you try this tactic, you might see a different setup of his formation. Now as we go back into the real time of this battle, you can see that his cavalry is now all the way to the back of him. This isn't even a flank protection, this is close to back protection now. This is something you could really easily use if you had a hidden cavalry unit at the forefront of this formation. You could just slam it into those crossbowmen and the bow units at the front and probably do a great amount of damage with that charge. I have ordered my cavalry to do a fake charge on his right flank, and on his left flank I have engaged him with bow cavalry. They are now aiming at each other, but I am hoping that he's going to go into loose formation, which is going to wasting time, because taking the loose formation takes time, as my crossbowmen actually get into position on this flank. Because most of my infantry doesn't have shields, they're gonna be the first target, and especially because they're at the forefront of my formation, they're gonna be the first target for the enemy crossbows and bows. And it is kind of dangerous here because of the fact that his cavalry is on these flanks that I'm attacking with my infantry. He could do a charge downhill and attack me, but as he is the defender, this is less likely to happen. As you saw, my army hasn't attacked from both sides at exactly the same time, but the important thing is that it became the threat at the same time. This means that the AI isn't going to use his units on another place where he might be in a battle if he's threatened on that other side. And you can see this with the archery attack on my left flank that is attacking his right flank. It is now engaged officially, and he's not going to allow his infantry units or cavalry units to abandon that flank in order to use them on the other already engaged flank. And here's the moment I choose to use my strong cavalry and my strong general here to charge against his cavalry, try to win this flank, rid it of his cavalry, so that I could do back attack charges with my own cavalry. This is practically a perfect opportunity to show you just how much you can confuse the AI with these tactics, because he's attacking with his cavalry, then backing off and getting his cavalry charged in the back and trying to back off in a wedge formation, which is very unpractical. Also, his units are going into loose formation and getting charged by a wedged in cavalry, and this is going to account for a lot of his losses. The unit that is in loose formation gets charged with a wedged cavalry unit is gonna be annihilated. Perfectly on cue. As we move on to the other flank, you can see that he's totally not sure what to do. His infantry is bunched up in the middle, not attacking anyone, while his bow units and crossbow units are trying to divide which side are they going to defend or attack. And you can see that his cavalry is now confused also, not knowing which side of my army to attack. The only thing that remains now is to attack with my infantry, support them with my bows and crossbows, and just try and find the best targets for hammer and anvil attacks with my cavalry, as I only need to use a general or even a bow cav unit to inflict those massive penalties for the back attack when it comes to morale. But to secure those hammer and anvil attacks, we still have a lot to do. The infantry must engage each other and have a straightforward line. Even though this is divided onto two sides, it still has to have lines so that the cavalry has something to strike into. And also the cavalry engagement has to be one, so that there can be freed up cavalry units or bow cav units in melee mode to charge into the backs of those units. On this flank, in the cavalry engagement, my general hasn't fared very well against the other general. The other general was fresh, while my general wasn't, and he has lost this battle, but he will be back as he flees only a small distance before coming back to the battle. Now, for the other units, I have to back them off, because they are much better at charging than at the prolonged melee combat, and that is why I pull them back and then re-engage. On this flank, the cavalry of my enemy general has almost no effect, because the bow cav managed to drag off and kill off most of his most advanced cavalry, while only his general is the cavalry unit remaining here, who has been fighting my infantry for a long time. This allows me to use my fresh cavalry to force off the battlefield his crossbowmen and then do the back attack charges, the hammer and anvil attacks on his infantry. With this done, and one of my bow cav units still at pretty good shape, I can attack his weaker general with them in melee mode, hoping to force him off the battlefield as quickly as possible, leading to more morale penalties and easier way for the enemy infantry to run away. An additional bonus effect when attacking the enemy from his two sides like this, and with bow or crossbow units on both sides of my army, is that I can easily shoot at the enemy's backsides the infantry's backsides from one side to the other, because usually if you're trying to attack the enemy's infantry with your bows or crossbows, they have to shoot above your units, and then those arrows and crossbow bolts fall down onto the enemy's units. But here you can watch how my crossbowmen can shoot exactly at the back of the enemy infantry units as they are fighting my infantry units, causing much higher casualties than if those crossbows, bolts or bow shots had to go above my own infantry. As my bows are pretty much out of ammo now, they can be used as hands-on infantry to plug any holes that my fleeing infantry might have made and attempt to do some back or flank attacks if it's possible to maneuver them all the way around. Here you can watch the second hammer and anvil attack happen, as my infantry has held on and the cavalry is now free to do the back attack charges, dealing massive damage, dealing massive morale damage, forcing the enemy units to flee.
Enemy unit flees! What cowards!
With the enemy's bow and crossbow units fled, the infantry fleeing, and the cavalry still remaining to fight it a little bit longer, this battle is inevitably ended with my victory. The AI had no chance, and he simply did not have the programming to handle a two-pronged attacks from two separate parts of one army. This is just one out of many ways that you can outplay the AI as long as you can figure out how he's going to respond and then do something that he's incapable of responding to. If you have any interesting battles against the AI or even other opponents, human opponents, I would love to see them and even cast them on my YouTube channel, doing, for example, a battle review or maybe a cinematic out of that battle. You can send them to me on my email, perafilozofytsubmissions@gmail.com. I will put the link in the description of this video, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe for more of these videos. Thank you all for watching, and please stay tuned for more.